Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Loads of scrims going down last night, some big information to dive into, but also TenZ's reaction to the new agent into the game. Lots of the pro players are coming together, it seems, to have discussions on Tejo's arrival into VALORANT, especially at this time, given in a few days' time, the kickoff tournaments begin with potentially a dramatically different meta. TenZ does not believe that Tejo looked especially balanced with the way that things currently are. Could the pros step in to do something about it in just a few days' time? Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd really appreciate it. We will start with the following. The VCT Americas kickoff is happening very soon. This is the talent roster for the tournament. So yeah, on the 11th of January, a couple of days, is when the Chinese kickoff gets underway, and a couple of days after that, it's the Americas, EMEA, the Pacific, and all that type of stuff. To our understanding, Tejo is allowed to be played in 3 of those regions, probably not China in a couple of days, but again, I'm not sure everything has been made 100% fully clear as to exactly what is going on right now in the VALORANT world. This is your talent for the kickoff. Nice to see some familiar names back in business. I wanted to mention this though as well, because I made this exact point yesterday, and Baller, I think, is exactly right with what he says. So we talked yesterday about the replay system, and Riot are describing how this is one of the issues they're working with, the problem between the client side and the server side when there's lots of ping, and, you know, if there's a lot of ping on a particular player, the replay will make it appear as if you missed the shots that you hit on them. But this is, as I said yesterday, a feature that is to some degree inherent in replay modes. Replay modes are never going to be perfect. There's always going to be bugs. And even the previous version that they talked about here, so a few months ago, they also, Riot came out and said, hey, these are some other issues we're working with, such as, let's say, on, I think it's on Ascent maybe, there's like the door, and I think they showed how, well, this is Ascent as well, the door was not appearing to be visible on certain kind of replay modes, whereas actually it was there for the players. But this is always a thing in replay modes. Replay modes are always going to have bugs. There might be a smoke that appears on the replay and wasn't there in real life, or the other way around. It just happens occasionally, and I think Baller's perspective is that this is okay. The product doesn't need to be perfect for it to be good enough to be used. And I think that's my frustration as well. I know that Riot probably think it's been 5 years, we've got to make it perfect, because otherwise if we drop it 5 years late on some regard and it's not perfect, then people are going to roast us. And they will, sure. But is it still better to do it than not? I think, look, they did admit that this is only one of the problems they're currently working through, but all of the problems they've shown us so far are issues that, in my opinion, are not major enough to require further time in development. I mean, this is exactly what Baller says. Reddit post about this, full of people gaslighting themselves into thinking that this is a major problem. Every serious replay system has this, and worse. I'm sure it's not perfect, but man, it's been 5 years. High-level moments are being lost to the no broadcast void 5 years in because of this type of stuff. Even if it's not perfect, I think it just needs to turn up into the game, and it's frustrating that it's not, and I think Baller's absolutely right. You just get used to the weird quirks of each individual replay and demo system. No, I'm sure it doesn't feel good to release as a dev, but the feature is obviously difficult enough that the time it takes to perfect does cut into the cost benefit. Flawed is better than nothing. That's the thing, and the devs, I'm sure, probably know this, but to perfect the replay modes will take them another 10 years, to be honest, to perfect it. So, you know, that's not a realistic option as far as I'm concerned. Let's talk about one of the only tournaments currently happening in the world. This is actually a relatively big one, the Predator League Asia Pacific 2025. Some big results here going down yesterday. Best of ones in some parts, but Team Secret, of course, team that may be in a decent position going into next year's VCT, got slammed by Rival, mostly an Indian team. So look, it was a one mapper on the Pearl, but just one to keep your eyes on, and this is how things are going as it stands. A Team Secret actually starting off 1-2 after their early results. Rival are 1-1 as it stands, and they are currently just underway in this series, and they've just gone down in this series to next gen. So I guess I should probably hit the refresh on this, shouldn't I, to make sure I've got everything perfectly up to date. So yes, everything is now concluded here in the group stages. Zipto taking the top spot in Group B, and some other names you'll probably be familiar with. That then puts them into the playoffs, and it's Crest Gaming, Alter Ego, Zip2 Esports, ZOL Esports as well. That will take home what is going to be a pretty substantial prize pool here. The winner of this tournament collects $65,000. Second place is 20k. It's a $120,000 prize pool here. The tournament out there in Kuala Lumpur. So we'll see how that concludes over the next couple of days. Also, we've got this from T1. Xcurit is returning as a content creator. So we know what Xcurit's been up to over the last couple of years. I really liked watching the guy play back in the CS days, actually. He had some good highlights back on Inferno. Then, of course, he moved to VALORANT, had some good success there, of course, brother of Forsaken, and now he's on T1 as a content creator. So, yeah, T1 building a pretty nice roster, not just of players, but also, you never know, if they need a substitute, Xcurit would not be a bad man to sub in at all. But let's talk about Tejo and the state of this new agent, how strong he appears to be, and whether this is fair or not. So Jake Sin of the Valorant Pacific League has confirmed that he will be usable on January the 18th, in just over a week's time, basically, when the Pacific gets underway. We believe the other leagues it is true as well. There was discussion, maybe this continues, that in China it's not going to be allowed yet, but we're pretty sure in the other kickoffs that Tejo will be usable, and very likely will be used. Seems to be particularly powerful, and as I usually say, when there's an agent that comes in which is potentially viable, the teams that get their head around it quickest usually tend to do the best. Now, Ryan says the following. This is tongue-in-cheek, but just an interesting concept. 11 VCT Americas teams have made a gentleman's agreement to not use Tejo during kickoff, who was released earlier today. The only team not to accept the agreement was Sen, saying that Zeltas refused to stop playing him and said that he'd quit if we signed the agreement. So, and then Zeltas says if everyone promotes the Sen bundle, I'll agree. So, look, this isn't true, but let's just consider the concept. If you were a group of players, could you come together and say, look guys, we've been practicing the current game for months. Tejo's in the game. For the kickoff, we're not going to use it. The problem is with all of these timings that there's not much Valorant that actually is played, because after the kickoff happens, you're straight to Masters Bangkok. So, you know, and it's definitely going to be used in Bangkok. So I think the conclusion is probably just use it anyway, because then at least you're going to get some practice during the kickoff tournament with the agent in. As frustrating as it may be to the pros, I think you've probably just got to run with it. Now, would it be possible, though, for the pros to hypothetically come together and say, look, guys, let's just not pick it this tournament? Because Riot can't do anything about it. Tejo might be viable. He might be picked every series in the Pacific. But if the Americas players don't do so because they agree not to, then fine. But obviously then, if Tejo's really that strong, you turn up to the grand finals or you turn up to the losers finals where your qualification for Bangkok is on the line, somebody might pull him out, right? So I think that probably this isn't going to be that relevant of a discussion, but the question always has been, how good's he going to be? Is he going to be so viable that the pros are kind of like forced to use him on some level? And I wanted to share what TenZ had to say on this, because he was watching this video and, you know, basically Tejo is point and click, and very strong point and click. Like, he can call in his ultimate, for example, here on the split, which causes some serious damage, and then he can also, as TenZ describes, nuke the back of the site as well at the same time. So there are lots of things that make Tejo a very strong character, especially his, you know, strength of abilities and relative ease of use. It's also got to be said, for sure, that TenZ believes, yes, this agent is too strong. Now, to be fair, when does TenZ not believe an agent is too strong? Relatively infrequently, but I do see Tejo being used so far, and I say, look, he's got to be viable.
What the fuck did I just see? He just nuked back sight and B heaven at the same time. What? Is that a point and click fucking recharge rocket? What? 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 What the fuck? What is this? Move or die? What? Bro just summoned a natural disaster. What the fuck is this? Does that kill? Bro, this entire character's kit is just shit that kills people. It looks like it's like stuns or like, did that bot the bot did like a Sova scan thing, like over here, right?
Some of the players obviously not so happy about it. They're going to have their own perspective. As Boaster says, genius marketing move by Riot. Release the new agent. The teams have to buy it. You know, £432 kind of locked in from this official purchase. But just before we close out the video, wanted to go through some scrims. So VCT Scrims at it again last night with a load of scrim bucks really that were going down. And look how many screenshots he was putting onto the timeline last night. Of course, Tejo now in the game, so we'll see what happens there. Some good results from Sen, maybe 7-2 on LEV. These were the overall results. We'll see in a second. Just a couple of screenshots here. Okonos and the boys, they were playing NRG. It was 10-8 at the time. There was also this one I thought was kind of interesting. LEV versus Lobsterfish. Now, Lobsterfish was Moose and Inspire and those guys. So, of course, formerly known as Baby J. And they were up 14-7 on LEV. So, that's pretty interesting, of course. LEV, Demon 1 and those guys. These were some of the overall results, though. Sentinels, 18-6 on Leviathan. That's a pretty big deal. Obviously, the question marks, who really knows? But we can maybe read into it just a little bit. And there were obviously also other results, especially in the European side that we started to see. And just quickly, more NA. Sen played the Qbet Academy guys, kind of like the Sen team themselves. That was 14-10. Sen were down 8-5 to G2 at one point. LEV were down 6-1 to Turtle Troop, which is very interesting. And Rankers, of course, Inspire's team, were 18-6 on LEV. So LEV are in trouble, maybe, right? Based on these scrims, I mean, look, 18-6 to Leviathan, 6-1 down at that point to, of course, Turtle Troop, getting slammed 18-6 by Sentinels as well. Not a great sign for Leviathan as it stands, but early days maybe. Tejo might affect the results to some degree, but very much interested in your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.